Hi, everybody. Um, I went live today to try and offer some insight on the state of the primaries. I know that Super Tuesday was for most of us, a seemingly devastating blow, and I'm trying to offer a glimmer of hope. Um, Full disclosure, this is kind of my rambling and raw analysis. I may be right, I may be wrong, but I hope people will watch and listen and comment because then I can reply to your comments. I'm gonna get started with the first thing on my agenda here. Um, Biden's performance in South Carolina and on Super Tuesday was a direct result of establishment forces signaling that he's the guy. Um, Joe Clyburn, I can't remember Clyburn's first name. Joe, maybe? I think it might be Joe. Anyways, Clyburn's a representative from South Carolina, and the way the political dynasties in South Carolina are set up, that endorsement was going to swing the race no matter what. And Bernie was never going to seek it out. So, South Carolina, the fact that we finished second is good. But when it comes to Super Tuesday, I know a lot of us were and probably still are really disillusioned and like, oh no. And I mean, he won the first three states, so I think we expected a bigger haul on Super Tuesday. And I have some analysis on that. So basically, all of the establishment from Barack Obama himself to all of the moderate candidates, Buttigieg, Klobuchar, all consolidated their efforts on Biden. They picked Biden because I don't know why. It was honestly kind of a stupid plan to pick Biden, but that's not here nor there. What I'm trying to get at is they picked Biden. They had exactly one silver bullet to weaponize the electoralism on Super Tuesday. They used it, and now they're out of ammunition. I think the hope, just like releasing that, oh, party elites will damage the party if it means stopping Sanders at the convention, like 3 days before Super Tuesday. Everything they're trying to do, it's not just manufactured consent, which they are doing. It's what I call manufactured apathy. They win when we don't show up. So basically, they use this one silver bullet to put as many voters towards Biden as possible while simultaneously depressing the vote as much as possible. Um, so the establishment can only pull that trick once. It's a one trick. It's a one card move. That's it. That's all they've got. I think they're hoping that we'll be demoralized enough by Bernie winning, and then losing that we will give up on our movement, and then that will lead to diminishing returns. Which leads me to the other thing. Sanders may still be ahead. Whenever he does well in the polls, there's always delays in counting him. Always. And there's still delays. We still don't have the full delegate counts for California, at the very least. And I think Utah still hasn't come out with full results. So, we don't have the full delegate counts. Sanders may still be ahead. But here's the other thing. If Sanders did as well on Super Tuesday as we were hoping, or even as well as he did in, say, Nevada, that could backfire on us. And, okay, I know that sounds crazy. But I was looking over the 2020 election nomination rules for the DNC again. And as I think we all know, you have to reach a simple majority, 50% plus one of the delegates, to clinch the nomination without any superdelegates involved on the second ballot. And the superdelegates are unpledged, so they can vote for whoever they want and basically overturn the will of the people if they feel so inclined, and there's nothing we can do to stop it. But, if any one candidate reaches a supermajority, about 67% of the delegates before the convention. So if Sanders had done really good on Super Tuesday, he could easily be there, right? Like if he had done as good as he did in Nevada on Super Tuesday, he probably would be there by the end of this. Any one candidate reaches a super majority of delegates, which I think their definition of super majority is 67%. Don't quote me on that. It's like 23 or 2,400 delegates compared to the 1,900 delegates, so it might be 60%. I don't know. I'm not good at math. Anyways, you can look it up. Any one candidate overperforms and gets a super majority of delegates. Per DNC rules, the super delegates are back in on the first ballot and can override the people. So the thing is, Sanders and our movement can't do terrible. We can't do too hot either. One or the other, and the super delegates still our future. So, I think between that and the fact that the establishment can only pull this card trick once, we're looking pretty hot. The other thing we have to keep in mind is we can't let off the pressure. There are still, last I checked, nearly 2,000 delegates to award, and you only need 1,991 to reach the nomination. Sanders has several hundred. We can do this. It's just going to be hard. It was never going to be easy. I think we all got to a point where I was like, oh, look, Sanders is winning, yes! And I think, I'm going to speak for myself here, I think some of us, including myself, got a little bit, for lack of a better word, complacent. And we can't have that. So, yeah, that's just what I wanted to say. Also, keep in mind that this revolution isn't just an electoral one, it's a movement-based. Sanders is our vehicle to policy. If he fails, it's a lot harder. But as long as we keep the movement active, movement-based politics are how we win. It's going to be a lot easier under a Sanders administration than a Trump administration, and since only Bernie beats Trump, it has to be Sanders. But we can't forget that movements are how it's won. Electoralism is harm mitigation, but it never wins significant change on its own. Furthermore, just remember they're trying to manufacture our apathy. We have to keep the pressure up. Like I was saying on Twitter, and I think to a degree on Facebook, before the primaries votes started, if he's down in the polls, we go 100 miles per hour. If he's up in the polls, we go 300. We can't let off the steam. And the worst case scenario is Sanders doesn't clinch the nomination. That's a pretty terrible scenario. But he's built an independent, left-leaning organization apparatus with millions, or a million plus, now trained volunteers and organizers. So as long as we stick to the movement part, movement-based politics will be fine. Yeah, that's, I guess, the hope I had to offer. And I'll be darned if I let my cousins not have a livable planet, or I tarnish the memory of my grandfather by not fighting for Medicare for him, which would have saved him. So we've got this. It's just gonna be a hard fight, and frankly, Bernie does better as the underdog. He always has. He probably always will. So we've got this. Just don't buy the hype. And biggest thing voters are worried about going forward is electability. It sucks, but that's what they're worried about. They're worried about this seemingly unquantifiable, only approachable and announceable by elites quantity. But here's the thing. You can quantify electability. You can. And I just checked today, 74 out of 79 polls since 2016 in a head-to-head matchup, Bernie beats Trump every single time. There's 5 outliers where he doesn't out of 79. And there's only maybe 3 polls that have happened recently where any other Democrat is showing Bernie beating Trump. So we just have to hammer the electability narrative for people who are worried about that above policy, because we already have the policy voters, and we will have the policy. But we have to hammer the electability vote. Say, hey, I get it. Beating Trump is priority one. Here's why Bernie's best to do that. And we have to help people see past the red baiting. I don't like the socialism for the rich argument because it defangs to a degree the revolutionary quality of socialism, but it works, and it can always be course corrected later. So try that, try whatever. But I'm gonna hop off people's feeds now. Thank you everybody who watched, and hope you all have a great night.